Coming up this week on Meeting Minds, we have a super exciting topic all about activations, especially with the adult beverage industry, how we bring that into corporate events, and just thinking about things a little bit differently in this virtual event space. You're not going to want to miss this week's episode of Meeting Minds.
This is Meeting Minds with Charles Ide. Join Charles and his co-host Paige as they chat with leaders in today's events world on how you can take your events to the next level. Broadcasting from the IdeCom studios in Minneapolis, Minnesota, this is Meeting Minds with Charles Ide.
Thanks, everyone. Welcome back to Meeting Minds. So excited to be here. I have some fabulous notes in front of me from a guest that I am so excited to welcome. I have Pam Dzierzanowski. She's the founder of Reevent Design and formerly the vice president of marketing with Patron. She has tons and tons of other event experience and activation experience that we were bantering a little bit here prior to me introducing her, but I don't want to steal any thunder. So I'm going to welcome Pam on here today as our guest of Meeting Minds. Thank you for joining us, Pam.
Hi, thanks for having me. So excited to be with you.
I know. We're really excited to have you as well. I was telling Pam before we welcomed her on that she has a really interesting LinkedIn profile, which is all about her background. And for those listeners who haven't heard of you or your company before, give us a little bit of background on Pam.
Well, yeah, I've been in the spirits business for about 25 years and been through with some major companies. My last job was with Patron for the last 12 years. And then I just transformed to my own company, and I'm calling it Reinvent Designs because I reinvent things. It was going really well at the beginning of the, last January when I kicked it off, had event Super Bowl. And then obviously in March, things just came to hell in a handbasket, quite frankly. And now we're pivoting is that word that we keep using. I like to say evolve as well. And so I've been evolving my event business and have come into the virtual community and really embraced that.
So the spirit side of the events industry is different than some of the conversations I've had in the past with event planners. Sometimes they're planners and they dabble in a few different things or they work corporate, but your past has all been in spirits for the most part. How did you get in that side of the events world?
Yeah, I started off in sales at a distributor and kind of moved my way up. I went on after I was with the distributor for about a year and a half. I went to Seagram, and Seagram had a really amazing program, much like Gallo, with training. Everybody started at the same position. We all drove minivans. We all learned from the same handbook, and then they sit you down about a year into your program, and they ask you, really, what do you want to do? And they sat me down and I said, I want to do events. And they said, well, we don't have that position. I said, but write that down because someday I'm going to be doing events for this company. And lo and behold, within like 6 months, they called me and they said, we want to do a test project. Will you move to Florida and run, the Florida events? Because we think this is a really great opportunity. So I did it. And then within like 6 to 8 months, they had that position duplicated throughout the company in California, New York, your Texas, your larger markets. And then a year and a half later, I got promoted and moved back to Dallas and ran 17 states. So it's just kind of evolved. I just have a passion for it. I love it. And I'm always thinking, what's the next fun thing that we can do at the event for experiential to make people smile and have a good time.
Where do you get your inspiration from then?
There's so much going on in my mind. There's always some kind of crazy idea that I always wanted to bring it to life. And I love collaborating and somebody having an idea and I riff off of it and we go back and forth. And then I'm like, let's make this happen. So it's just a really fun way of doing it. At the beginning, in the event world, when I started, it was like I was sponsoring other things. So how do you come alive in somebody else's event is quite frankly what I was really good at. People didn't even know what was happening because they'd be like, okay, you get a little 6x6 table and this is what you're going to do. I'm like, oh, no. If you want us involved, this is what I'm thinking. But when you give somebody a value and they can't say no, you ask them what their theme is, and you come back to them with 10 ideas, and you tell them you're going to pay for it or take something off their line item. Like you say, what do you got going? Do you have a step and repeat? How much is that going to cost you? What if we designed it to be creative and unique and different, and we'll pay for it? And they're like, oh, that's a line item. Or do you need wristbands, or do you need, and make those wristbands interactive, but literally say, what do you got on your line items? And let's take something off of it, but we can sponsor it to make our brand come alive.
So that probably is completely different within the virtual event space and finding inspiration and sponsorship. Where has the last 10 months taken you into?
Well, yes, it's been quite unique. I started back in April. I was working for a couple brands, and one of them was a prosecco in a can, and it has 5 flavors. And so what we decided to do is take that online to do some virtual tastings with the owners. Really fun. Generally, we go out and taste people and pay for that, right? You pay for the brand ambassador, you pay for the product, you sometimes have to pay for the sponsorship. This is the first time we're like turning the tables. We're asking people to pay for something they've never tasted. And I have to say, the first time we did it, we had 55 people, and they paid $50 to do a prosecco, but it was delivered. I partnered with a local wine shop in Hermosa Beach called Uncorked, and we had a cute little deal where we did. It was during Easter week, and we called it a hoppy hour. And remember, this is just at the beginning of when everything was happening, and people aren't used to Zoom and. Oh boy, we learned a lot in that one little session. But we sent bunny ears to people, so when they got on Zoom, they had the bunny ears, and it was just really fun. And people had a great time. And so what we did is we did that 3 or 4 more times, and people were like, "Okay, we've already heard the spiel. It's fun, but what's next?" So I evolved that to bingo and bubbles. Well, what that consisted of is 30-minute tasting with the owners. Go through their brand story, taste the 5 flavors. Like I said, it's a prosecco, a rosé, and 3 prosecco cocktails in a really cute can that's the size of a Red Bull can. Beautiful branding, and it hit actually lots of tastes. So therefore, if you like sweet, we have sweet. If you don't like sweet, we have something that's like an Aperol spritz. So you're kind of hitting everybody, which is great. Because, if you're going to do a whiskey tasting, you really got to love whiskey or bourbon or, even wine. So this kind of really opened up for a lot of people to participate. With that, the bingo and bubbles, we did a virtual bingo card. We had 250 people sign up. It was crazy. Well, within that, I had like 4 or 5 people that said, "Can you do this for my team at work in the office?" So that has evolved to this crazy business of bingo and bubbles that to the point of at holiday season, I had to turn away business because I was a one-woman show. And but the team building, I'm getting responses like, "This is the best 90 minutes I've spent with my team in 6 months." And what we do is, like I said, the 30-minute tasting, which is fun with the owners. They're really a really great couple. They're out of Austria. They have they're very authentic. They have great accent, and it's just a really fun, interactive tasting. They get off, but what everybody has done prior to this from their team is sent 2 fun facts about themselves. So what happens is I make a bingo card with those fun facts. So we open up this virtual bingo card, and it will say, won a car on The Price is Right, traveled 80 countries, know 5 languages, attacked by a bear. And you're like, you open this card and you're like, every one of these squares is associated with somebody on my team.
Is the card a physical card or a digital card?
Virtual.
Okay.
And you can customize this. So ideally, people are like, I got to know who was attacked by a bear or who won a car on The Price is Right. But we don't talk about it until the square is called. And so I will say, if you have attacked by a bear on your card, please mark your thing. But more importantly, let's find out who was attacked by a bear and let's get to the bottom of the story. And it's just a fun, interactive thing. Remember, we've loosened them up with a little bit of Prosecco as well, right? So everybody's having just a great time. And I'm telling you, it's just worked. Who would have thought I was going to be a bingo queen, quite frankly? But and now it's evolved. I have a host. I've partnered with another company out of Denver with much more advanced tech, and but that was a lot of key learnings in the month of December. That's for sure, because it was just me, like I said. But it's been pretty exciting times. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I miss obviously live events, but for the time being, this is great. I'm meeting amazing people and working with some great companies. And the word is spreading. So it's just like once you get in one large company, it's like one department, which is great. And I've gotten such great feedback and lots of repeat customers. So that's kind of how I've evolved.
Congratulations. That's an amazing idea that you've truly been able to, like you said, evolve over the last, 6 months or so. Maybe, less than that if you started it closer to wintertime versus when the pandemic actually started.
Well, the first one we did was way back in April, right? Or May. The Bingo and Bubbles ones was actually May 1st, because it was April showers bring May flowers. And that was May 1st, so May Day. And so we sent, if it was a girl that was ordering it, she got a flower crown for the Zoom. If a guy was ordering it, you got bubbles to blow. I mean, it was just goofy, right? But it was something to do. And then that was, so what was that? Like I said, May 1st. And that's now evolved into this larger idea. And obviously when companies come back and say, okay, well, what's next month? So then we've done murder mysteries, I've done escape rooms, truffle making, cooking classes, all kinds of things like that. But those, I can do all day and just find vendors that are phenomenal at that. But the Bingo and Bubbles is my sweet spot, because it's just something that I've kind of created on my own with this prosecco company.
It's your background. It's spirits. It's something you're clearly passionate about, that you love to talk about, to bring that into people's homes. Like you said, loosen them up a little bit with prosecco. And then it's so interesting to me that you had the idea and innovation to talk about 2 fun facts about people for that team building side of things, because everyone in this environment is looking for a way to better connect with each other. And so to share something, and I imagine prior to setting this up, they don't know why they're sharing those 2 fun facts.
No idea. Sometimes we don't even tell them they're playing bingo, but most of the times, sometimes we call it bingo and bubbles. So obviously they're going to understand that they're going to play bingo. But you have seasoned professionals going, I didn't think this was going to be much fun, but boy, I had a blast. And people are like, I've worked with you for 12 years. How did I not know that? That kind of thing. So, and all ages. So it's worked.
That's great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of your staple in this completely virtual environment. Luckily now, where at least we are in our clients and planning timeline, looking to virtual events and kind of what's next as you're transitioning to some people still being virtual and others wanting to take the leap into hybrid. What are some of these other ideas you have percolating around keeping your attendees who are going to stay virtual activated, and then the people who are going to be in person activated? And it looks like you maybe have some ideas here too.
Well, I do, but it's going to be, it's this virtual thing is, is scary to me. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been a seasoned professional many years. If something goes wrong, you can fix it, right? If it's virtual, it's a hard thing for me. So that's why I've brought in some backup and reinforcement. I've become also very involved in tech, which I never was before, as I, would just hire somebody to do what they do, stay in my own lane. But now it's just like, you really have to know some of the things. And if something goes wrong, how to step in. But so lots of collaboration is what I'm going to be doing much more. And it's been great. I have to say our community has come together. I have connected with so many people. I don't know if you've heard of Clubhouse, but we've been doing a lot of things on Clubhouse in regards to collaborating and seeing where we're going to go. Everybody's a little scared right now, a little gun shy on booking events. So we're just kind of seeing how it's going to go. But I do definitely believe that virtual events are here to stay. And I will continue to do that. But I really can't wait till it all comes back and we all get together again and my crazy ideas still are be able to brought to life in real life versus virtually.
Yeah, I agree. As you've done so many brand activations, there's some here. So tell me a little bit about this idea you have around muddle your own mojito bar, and then maybe a good way someone could bring that into the hybrid event space.
Well, yeah. So this was just, I did it for, I don't know, 6-7 years at Patron. And it just worked. And the way we work this one activation is, like I said, muddle your mojito. Generally, a mojito is made with rum. It's not made with tequila. But there's no rules, right? So what we did a mojito program. Mojitos are fun to make, and people are scared. Some people don't even know what a muddler is, right? So once again, going into somebody else's event, trying to come alive. Obviously, the main bars, regular bars, past drinks, signage, that's a given. But then, how else are we going to give a great experience to that person attending that event, and a memorable experience? The big thing in the spirits industry is liquid to lips, right? People to taste your product. A lot of people go, tequila, no way, not for me. But you know what? If you give it to them in an experience and a taste profile that they like, they may come around, right? So what I would ask of an event, if we were coming in as a sponsor, we want a space that's not by the main bar, almost something that they have to come seek. And it is an experiential bar. When you walk up to the bar, you'll be greeted by a brand ambassador, and they will tell you, this is a learn how to make your own cocktail. If you do not want to learn how to make your own cocktail, you may go to the other bars, but this is actually, you have to get behind the bar and learn. That is crucial, because people are like, what? I don't want, if they get to the front and they have to learn how to make it and they didn't know. So that's like your first greeting is, this is an experiential thing.
Not just watching a different bartender show you what could be in this cocktail.
Right. So while they're standing in line, they get handed a piece of paper. These are the 3 cocktails that we suggest. This is called a mojito bar. So they're looking at their card, and at that point we are catching their email address, right? While they're standing in line. Then they get to the front, they come around to the other side and have a one-on-one session with a bartender. But in front of them is all these beautiful jars of fresh fruit, mint, and they get to pick their own ingredients. So if you like mangoes, if you like raspberries, and obviously the mint is a big thing in a mojito. So you put whatever you like in your glass, and then you muddle, and they show you what a muddler is, and you smash it and all this great stuff. And then the bartender obviously shows you how to, 1.25 ounces of Patron and silver and, some agave syrup and then whatnot. And then you shake it, right? And people sometimes have never shaken a Boston shaker before. And they're like, look, I'm shaking. And they, you get the noise effect, and they're having a blast. They're like, then you pour it in a glass, and then they taste it. They're like, I made this? Oh my God, this is amazing. We're like, see how easy it was? Fresh ingredients. This is tequila that you're drinking, but yet in a mojito fashion. Then the next step is they move over and they get a muddler engraved. And it's custom, whatever you want to put on there. We have an engraver sitting there, and you can either wait, and it's usually like less than 2 minutes. But if you don't, we give you a cute little coat check Patron paper bottle that goes in your pocket, so you can come back and like a coat check and pick up your muddler later on. Then remember, so then they're walking around with this muddler in their back pocket. People are like, where did you get that? How did you get that? They're like, I just made my own drink. You got to go in the back. And, so get people talking about it, have a great experience. They tasted our product, and remember, we have their email. So the next day we send them an email. If it's over the weekend, the Monday, we're like, hope you're enjoying your muddler. Here's some recipes. Would you like to join the Patron Social Club? So it's a full experience on one activation in somebody else's event. And to this day, 10 years later, they're like, I have my muddler. And so we evolved that to make your own margarita. And so we did a customized squeezer, and we engraved the squeezer. So it's all about, fun experiences. And that's what I love and enjoy doing.
That's amazing. I see this also being something you can evolve into that virtual event space or hybrid space as you're building this activation back out for an in-person event and an in-person experience. Say the event typically would have had 1,500 people and it can only have 500 people in person or vice versa. And then you have the at-home audience still. You could do a pre-recorded session of an amazing bartender explaining where you pause it and have them have the opportunity, and then have all those kits and experience things that are at home for them as well.
Right, 100%. And we do this. So I do sponsoring the Jazz Aspen, or actually not sponsoring. I'm working with them now. I forgot I'm on the other side now. We're creating an event. It's their 30th year anniversary at Jazz Aspen. And we have a mixology session. And we do it with Woody Creek, and it's amazing. And we send them it's a mule kit. So you get a mug, some bitters, some fresh syrup that the bartender's made. And then we, in this actual session, we have it pre-recorded at the distillery. So, with the bartender, but the kit that the people receive is, the kit, a mule kit, and a collective glass, and they get to, have fun making it at home. And it's just one of the things with the cooking. So we're doing cooking and mixology all in that one event, which is great.
Very, very cool. What other fun ideas, as we're kind of wrapping up here, do you want to help our guests understand how they either incorporate this event into their events, or I think sometimes maybe get shy of how they budget for some of these activations and items as well? What are some tips you can share?
Well, on the corporate side of sponsorship, my big belief, and a lot of people don't agree with this, is that I'd rather spend my money instead of large sponsorship dollars on the activation. Like I said, I'd like to give something to the event where people are going to remember not only my brand, but also give a great experience to the people attending the event, right? So that was always my mantra: is we didn't spend a lot of money on sponsorship dollars, but we spent money on the activation within your event to make it great. So go to your banks, go to your cars and all that for the large dollars, but we have actually something that you need: alcohol, a line item off your thing, and then a fun activity. So that is, on the corporate side. On the virtual side, a lot of people have called and they're like, yeah, we're thinking about doing this. They just need to do it, because it's morale. And I'm telling you, the comments I'm receiving, because people really want to be, at first they don't want to do it. They're like, oh, another Zoom meeting. But it's just showing you care about your employee, and that surprise and delight of sending something beforehand that they weren't expecting, that obviously tastes great and looks great. And we send 8 cans. So we taste 5, but then there's some left over to share later on with your family and friends. So it's just, I think the biggest thing is with with a lot of corporate is they say they want to do it, but then they don't book it. And it's just like, literally, they really need to do something for their employees. But then there's a lot of companies that have something, monthly, and each department chooses what they get to do, and which is great. Like I said, I loved just this virtual thing, meeting so many different people and people reaching out to me and saying that was really fun. And, it makes me feel good.
That's amazing. Congratulations on all your success you've seen with this. It's so exciting to see how you've been able to innovate and just hear the joy that you're bringing to people, along with education and team building. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We never thought I was going to be here. I thought I was going to be producing large events, with, award season, just, generally right now we are just in the thick of it. Right. And now it's like everything is virtual, and it's, but I've had a great time, and I look forward back when live events come, but until the time comes, we're having a good time doing what we can to make people happy.
Yeah, tons of new things to add to your resume and add to your capabilities list. Even as we're thinking about positive ways to spin what we're going through, you get a whole new section of capabilities you get to talk about.
100%. Yeah.
Pam, if anyone wants to get a hold of you and ask questions about how they incorporate this into their next event or the future or innovative ideas, how can they touch base with you?
Well, LinkedIn is always good. It's Pam DZ is my LinkedIn. Or my website, Reinvent Designs. It's Reinvent Designs. Basically, it's a play on reinventing. I reinvent things. So who thought, bingo would be so fun? So I reinvented it. So that's kind of like, I reinvented the mojito, it's just a matter of, that's kind of how I've always done things. So I thought that was a great name to name my company. But yeah, so reinventdesigns.com, or follow me on Instagram at Reinvent Designs.
Awesome. Yes. I know I already have a few ideas of clients that might be able to use your services. So I think the rest of our audience will as well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. For those of you listening and you want to get a hold of Pam, we'll make sure to put this information in the show notes. If you have questions, reach out to her. As you can tell, she's so friendly, open to sharing her great ideas. Make sure you listen to other great episodes of Meeting Minds, and go ahead and follow us on Instagram for these little bite-sized pieces that Pam brought to the table today for the podcast. And go ahead and like and share your love about everything we're trying to collaborate on for the events industry. We'll see you next time right here on Meeting Minds.
Thank you for listening to Meeting Minds. Meeting Minds. Brought to you by IDCOM Event Production, changing the world one audience at a time. Follow IDCOM Creative and Meeting Minds podcast on Instagram. And check out meetingminds.org to find show notes for this episode, past episodes, and inspiration. As always, please subscribe, leave a review, and tune in next week for another episode of Meeting Minds.